Inside your spotlight this morning, we're chatting about some projects and initiatives hosted by the Ministry of by Sport and Community Development. This morning, I want to welcome Program Manager of the Community Recovery Unit, Joy Benjamin, as well as Project Support Officer at the same, Janice Scott. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are we doing this morning?
Doing good.
Yeah,
Very excited.
I know it's kind of early. But thank you all for waking up and coming and joining us this morning.
Of course.
All right. So, Joy, tell me about the objectives of the Community Recovery Unit.
So the Community Recovery Unit was basically born out of the Community Recovery Committee, right? So there's a Community Recovery Committee that was created in 2020, and this was to deal with basically holistic community development. In line with also COVID being an issue too. So after that, there was a community recovery report in 2021. And because of the community recovery report, there was a need to place focus on at-risk, but now we call it focus communities. So the Community Recovery Unit is basically dealing with that within the ministry. So we deal with the issues that you will say is basically community decline, economic development, and social instability. And because of that, we have basically these community strengthening strategies, which we call the programs, to deal with this issue.
All right, so you mentioned that it serves, you call it focus.
Focus communities. It's no longer at risk. Focus communities.
What defines a focus community?
So a focus community is one where there needs special attention to the persons within it. So the Community Recovery Unit is also coming out of the National Vision 2030. Specifically Theme 1 and Theme 5, which focuses on putting people first and economic development. So because of that, that is why we would say focus communities are ones where you need special attention, you're dealing with the individuals, you're helping them to come out of certain mindsets and also to be an asset to society and themselves as well.
That sounds like real hard work, boy. Changing mindsets. I do not envy that job at all. Janice, tell me about some of the programs offered by the Community Recovery Unit.
So the Community Recovery Unit has different pillars that we focus on. So, for instance, the East Port of Spain Youth and Women, of which I, assist
He is the big boss in charge of that.
So we have the Dream Chasers Apprenticeship and Mentorship Project, which would have recently wrapped up last week. Then we have the East Port of Spain Community Youth Lead Program, which we're currently working on. And then there is the Boss Lady Project.
Yeah.
And then from there we have things like Grow It Yourself, and of course everyone knows Empower.
All right. Tell me a little bit about the DCAMP, the Dream Chasers one.
So the Dream Chasers Apprenticeship and Mentorship Project, which we call DCAMP, is really a 2-month program where we focus on the same focus communities in participants between the ages of 16 to 27, where we give them life skill development training, which usually runs for approximately 2 to 3 weeks, and then they move on to an apprenticeship portion, so they're able to get exposure into the world of work, which we really want to make sure that our young persons have the ability to see themselves in different career paths, because sometimes we may not have exposure to these things as we're young persons. So the Honorable Shamfa Kudjo Lewis really wanted to ensure that they have tangible, real-world experience. But moving on from that, we wanted to take it a step further to ensure that we don't just take these children and put them out into the world of work, but we also offer mentorship. And it's really to spark that interest in different career paths through what we would have had the breakfast and conversations. And it would have been targeted in both Trinidad cohort and the Tobago cohort.
And what was the response like?
It was phenomenal. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed being exposed to different careers. For instance, we brought on persons like Valmiki Maraj. We had lawyers, Marshall Cedenio, we had athletes. And it's such a great thing that they can see that persons who they are interested in are also interested in their development. And I think that's a very important factor for young persons to note.
In terms of the communities served, you have an idea of the numbers of people that would have taken part in the DCAMP?
Yes, we had 89 participants and we had a 100% success rate. They would have completed the program from start to finish, which is something that we are very proud about. And they would have ranged from areas such as Laventille, Sea Lots, focus communities in Chaguanas, Tobago, along the east-west corridor. So we are very happy and pleased that this program was such a success.
All right, Joy, let me jump back across to you. Tell us about the Boss Lady Project.
So the Boss Lady Project, which is my favorite, I don't want you all, oh, this live, okay, no problem.
Too late. You don't say that.
But the Boss Lady Project is actually a pilot program. So this is the first time that we're actually rolling out the Boss Lady Project. So Minister, the Honorable Shamfa Kojo Lewis, because we had Empower TT, there was a great response for Empower TT, but also we had women applying for Empower TT, but that can't work because Empower TT is focused right on men. So Boss Lady Project is basically like coming out of Empower but for women. So the difference with Boss Lady Project is that they focus on craft skills too. So apart from the life skills, they're actually getting craft skills. We have it in clusters. We have beauty and hair care. We also have basic costume making, and then we have events management. So after the craft skills, they would go on to entrepreneurship training, and they'll actually be involved in an entrepreneurship symposium. And after that, they will do apprenticeship in different companies or organizations or agencies that are in line with the craft that they did. And then after that, we have the wonderful graduation, and we hope for 100% success rate for Boss Lady Project as well.
When is that one expected to be completed?
So that's expected to be completed at the end of October.
Okay. In terms of measuring the impact of these different programs, how do we do that? Because yeah, we have a nice turnout and that's great, but in terms of the long-term impact, how do we look at measuring that?
So usually we do also monitoring and evaluation. So apart from the participants, monitoring them as well, we also do basic questionnaires with the facilitators that we have for these programs to see what they see, what we could develop on. And also, we stay in touch with these participants to see where they are, where they were before and where they are now.
Right.
So that is a way for us to basically say, okay, was this program really successful? Is it that there was a difference approach? Did they learn something? Are they looking at their community and themselves different after the program?
Janice, tell me something. All of the programs that we mentioned earlier, are they all targeted to the same focus communities?
Yeah, so our primary focus is obviously the communities of East Port of Spain.
Right.
However, we are not just limited to those communities alone, because we understand the need and the importance for developing our skills, talent throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. So we always make sure that in whatever programs we have offered, there's always a cohort in Tobago, there's always a cohort in East Port of Spain, and then we have cohorts throughout Trinidad and Tobago. For instance, for the Boss Lady Project, we have a cohort in Maruga.
Nice.
And actually, we always get feedback from the facilitators, and they said that bunch of women are such lovely persons to work with.
Yeah.
So we ensure that we touch as many communities as we can with our programs.
What kind of feedback did you get from the camp mentors who would have gone in and met the participants and said, you know, all right, when they come back and give you the feedback, I want you to be honest with me, Jenny.
Yeah, so as Joy would have mentioned, Boss Lady is her favorite program, and I think that I would have created a special bond with the D-Camp program. And so this is no bias here.
After she says that, go ahead.
The feedback that we would have gotten from the facilitators with the participants is that they are a bright bunch of young people. And they also talked about the fact that they're so happy that they were part of that program so that they are able to nurture and to mentor the participants in D-Camp. So it's always such a great thing to know that we're able to facilitate that sort of mentorship in that particular regard.
Most definitely. In terms of the long-term impact, though, my concern, and I will address this to both of you all, is that after we do these lovely programs and we go back into the communities, have the communities changed, or are we now trying to have these individuals who've gone into these programs now commit that change to their community?
No, I would say that for a community to change, individuals would have to change, because that is what makes a community. So that is why our focus is on the individuals. So if we are looking at the success rate of the actual individuals of the community, I would say that it would benefit these communities and the communities would change because of the individuals in it.
Okay, so if you change one, you kind of start the
Yes,
change
you
process.
start the change.
Definitely.
Yes, you do.
And what we would have seen coming out of these programs is that once the programs are ongoing or even completed, the participants will, come back to us and say, we have a neighbor who wants to be part of it. We have this person. So you could see that that impact has already started to begun in the communities because they are interested in what the Ministry of Sport and Community Development has to offer.
So what we have offering next that people can be a part of?
Now, all these programs, basically, well, the one that has to launch still is the eSport Spain program, but we intend for these programs to roll out continuously throughout the year, especially due to the large feedback and the amount of persons that want to actually be a part of these programs, because a lot of times we have to do interviews to try to cut down the numbers of the amount of participants we have. So the plan is, and this is also why the Community Recovery Unit was established, is to have these programs rolling out throughout the year.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we look forward. Please come back and let us know when your next one is so everybody can register and you will have a nice big long list of people to choose from. Yeah, ladies, thank you so much for joining us this morning and congratulations on the work done so far. We look forward to the work that you continue to do.
Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Joy Benjamin, Program Manager at Community Recovery Unit, and Janice Scott, Project Support Officer at the same, joining us just to share a little bit about the projects and initiatives hosted by the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. We'll take a quick break and come back with more in our morning show. Stick around.
One thing me I pray, get my money and build my dreams. Rep